Hello, my name's Wimpy. Welcome to my world. Right, okay. What we're going to be doing is this is the first in a series of live streams, and the topic is simple. We're going to take the Ubuntu Server pre-install image for Raspberry Pi 2, 3 and 4 and create a utility that will turn that into one of the Ubuntu desktop flavors. So this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and it means anyone can easily put Ubuntu on a Pi and then turn it into the desktop of their choice. And over the series we'll go through the tweaks and the optimisations that script needs to learn in order to optimize the desktop for the different flavors. Now, we're doing this because you voted for it. So I've been asking everyone to smash that like button and all the rest of it, and you have. So if we just drop down here, here we go. Here's a browser window. So it turned out that I'd been asking people to subscribe because we wanted 2,000 subscribers. Turns out 1,000 subscribers was the magic number to turn on the community tab. So I'm pointing the wrong way. So I ran a poll and said, which do you want to see? Shall we work on Raspberry Pi stuff or shall we do GPD Pocket stuff? And those of you that voted for the Raspberry Pi. So that's what we're going to do. Very simple stuff, I think. Now, there's been some changes here at Wimpy's World, so we're just going to run through that. So the way we're going to be doing this is it's quite a complicated setup now, and my Stream Deck's not working today because I broke all my scripts, which is sad. But anyway, so we have the big fat face camera, hello, and the ticker tape there, which when I go to this camera will tell us what we're doing, so people that are joining the stream late can find out. And then we have this, and is this going to update? Oh man, look at that, it's not going to update. That's rubbish. Oh well, never mind. So hello everyone in chat. Hello Kai, hello Troy, hello Blue Freaker, hello Dan, thank you all for joining. Right, so let's get straight into this. So why is this stream called Desktopify? Well, that's what I thought we'd call the actual utility itself. So let's bit of turbo lag on my right. Really off-putting. This is even quite different. Normal. Okay, so we'll create a new project. For the looks of it, new. So we're starting from absolute scratch. This is sort of largely unplanned. I've just got the idea in my head. Obviously public. Thank you. Something like that. That more or less explains it. Yes, we'll have a readme or file. Right. Right. Okay. Let's have a. So the other thing we've got here is I've got a why. I've also got this view as well. So here I have a card reader, micro SD card, and a Raspberry Pi. This is a Pi 4 2 gig, and we've also got some power and Ethernet and HDMI connected to a Magewell camera capture device, so we can switch to that. And what I'm going to need, I think, is probably over here I'm also going to need this, which will be a second keyboard. And there we go. So this is a wireless keyboard and mouse, and that can go in there, and that will be the way that we do. Won't need the mouse very much, so we'll just get that out of the way for the moment. Right. So as you can see, I've been faffing around in OBS, having a bit of a play. Right then. This is almost professional, I know, right? Yeah, I've been having a bit of a tinker. So then, we've created our project. So I think what we'll do is we'll right. Let's start Visual Studio Code. Yeah, ooh, hello. Right then, this is there, clone, and that URL. Okay, so there's the project. So I think the next thing we need to do is we'll run up disks, and where are you? You're over there. So we've got GNOME disks here, and what we need to do is put the SD card. So got the SD card reader here. We'll jam that in there. Stick that in the card reader back here, and then we'll go back here, and there's the drive. So just restore a disk image, and I've downloaded the 32-bit and 64-bit images of the Raspberry Pi for 2004. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use the ARM-HF, which is the 32-bit version for now. Since this is a 2 gig Pi, we may as well do that. So open that image, start restoring. Whilst that restores, I'll show you where you download these from. Okay, so that's going. So up here, if you go to ubuntu.com, you'll find on download/Raspberry Pi page, you can download those images, and you can get them for the Pi 2, 3, and 4. And unlike times of old, you don't have to download different versions for different Pis. You just download either 32 or 64-bit version, and that will work on those devices that support that version of the distro. Alan, no, I couldn't. Alan's telling me I could have used another tool in chat. Hello, Monica. Hello, Arubis Islander. Hello, everyone, for joining. Thanks very much for coming back again. So I haven't done a live stream for quite some time. I had the small matter of an operating system to get released, which is done now. So now that we've got 2004 out the door, and this past week at work, for those of you that are joining the stream and have no idea who I am, hello, I'm Martin Wimpy, and my day job, I work at Canonical, and I'm the what am I? Something important to do with Ubuntu Desktop, I think, is probably a fair assumption. Yeah, and we've just been, this last week, been doing our planning for Ubuntu Groovy Gorilla, which will become the 2010 release in October. So that kept me busy for a week, and now I've got a week off. So now I've got 9 days of pleasing myself, and most of the time I'll be pleasing myself doing random stuff in the live stream, and maybe making a couple of videos as well. So we're just waiting for that to download. Whilst that downloads a bit more, let's go back to the here. So let's get the Raspberry Pi hooked up. So we're going to need Ethernet. So I've just dragged an Ethernet cable to my switch. This will be power, which we won't plug in yet. This isn't switched, so we're all a bit Heath Robinson here at the moment. So I'll plug that into a provide power. And this is a micro HDMI to HDMI adapter, which is going into the Magewell. So I'll get that plugged into one of the ports now, the right way around. So that's that hooked up. The SD card I'm using is the one that I think works best in the Pi 2, 3 and 4. I've actually put some links in the description for the kit that I'm using. They are affiliate links, so if you do click on those and buy anything, I'll get a kickback. I have to tell you that, so I'm telling you that. I think the words are in the description as well. Oh, Kiro, sorry to hear you're having a crappy day, and I'm glad you could join us. So, how are we getting on here? Right, so our image is flashed, so let's turn that device off. Wanting to turn off two devices because it's a micro SD and SD card reader. Right, we're probably done with that. What is this inertia on the mouse all about? I've never experienced that before. Right, so we'll have that out. So we'll put the SD card in. There we go. Right, let's switch back to the overhead, because I'm going to do a thing, aren't I? So let's get the HDMI plugged in, and then this is where it gets a bit more interesting. I'll just hold that there, and then we'll switch to this. And if I plug that in, hopefully we'll get a Raspberry Pi booting. Well, that's encouraging. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to sort of juggle four cameras, 1, 2, 3, 4 capture devices at least. Right, so this is booting Ubuntu 20.04 on this Raspberry Pi 4 for the very first time, and this will give me a server version of Ubuntu, and it's just like a regular classic version of Ubuntu Server with all the bits and pieces that you'd expect to find on it. And that's great and everything, but I like doing desktop stuff. So the point of this tool we're going to create is to turn one of these server images into a desktop. And I'm going to start by doing, yes, you've guessed it, the green edition, Ubuntu Mate. We'll get Ubuntu Mate installed on this thing. And then over the series, we'll introduce the other flavors and get those tested as well, and see if we can't get all of the Ubuntu flavors working with this. Right, so I've just turned on my keyboard, so hopefully I can log in as Ubuntu. Now, this is where Martin has to remember, is the password Ubuntu? Did I even type that correctly? Login incorrect. Ubuntu. Must have mistyped. Keyboard's a bit twitchy. There we go. So it is login with Ubuntu, password Ubuntu, and it'll immediately ask you to confirm your current password, which is Ubuntu, and then provide a new password. Which, because this is a test setup, my password is, I must have a longer password. Okay, let's call it after the project then, Desktopify. Desktopify. I managed to type that in the same twice. Yes, great success. Right then, so here we are. This is now just a regular Ubuntu system. There was a bit of cloudiness going on there to do the startup, but here it is. It's a full-on server. Pretty cool, really, isn't it? Look at that, running on this little gizmo down here. I think that's fantastic. Right, so let's have a look. What's my IP address? Oh. Ethernet. Oh, this. There we go. Right, let's try that again. Wasn't plugged in properly. There we go. 2.120. Okay, good. So we're on the right VLAN and everything. So what I'll do then is I'll switch back up to the main system. So. Okay. Now I'm going to get confused about which keyboard I need to use. So hopefully I can do 120, I think it was. Yes, that's good. Don't think. Okay. But right. Great. Okay, so we can log into that box just fine. So I think I'll start with, I'll tell you what, we'll kind of bury the lead here, right? We'll actually start an install. In fact, no, we won't. Let's create the very basic script. In fact, we won't even give it an extension. Now, in case you're in any doubt, there we go. There's our starting file. Okay, let's have a look in chat. Let's see what's going on here. Hello, Paul M. Yes, the keyboard situation. I feel a bit like Rick Wakeman. This could get complicated. Clearing his desk. No, not really. I mean, there's a few things. There's these boxes here that I had to just move out of the way. These are Raspberry Pi 4 cases that will be showing up in a video at some point, and I had to move that out of the reach of my daughter because she kept on wanting to play with the game controller. But this is pretty much how I have my desk laid out. All the crap's behind me, behind the green screen on the other desk. Yes, and Dan Llewellyn has actually got the initial command there. So let's actually go in here. This script. Let's start with the simplest thing. So we're going to say let's set some variables up. So that is going to be the package that I'm going to start by installing. So we're creating our MVP of this utility. We'll do an apt install that package, and in fact what we'll do here is change that caret. The caret in that command is going to install the task rather than the packages, so effectively install the things as though in the same way that the distro is put together. Now, the other thing is that when I powered on that Raspberry Pi, you saw me, I flashed it onto an SD card. If I just log back into it a second, and if I look at the free disk, you will notice that it was a 32 gig card and it's automatically resized the root partition. So it's already figured out, you know, the size of the SD card and made it small as it can, as large as it can do. So that is my my MVP, and we're just going to go one step further. So we'll just call this hardware packages, and I know we're going to need a package called Pi Bluetooth. The reason I know we're going to need this package is because I created it for Ubuntu and Dave Jones uploaded it, and this is got the loader. So this is kind of, you know, this could be it really, but we won't learn very much by just having a couple of things like that. So there's our basic script. So if we come down here, log out, SCP that package to Ubuntu at 192.168. This is on the 2 network, and it was 120, I think. Was that right? So I'm going to develop this, you know, on my local machine, and then just SCP the script over to the Pi. SCP the thing over. There it is. So if we now switch to the Pi capture, here we go. So I've hopefully got a right, use the correct thing. There it is. So if I run this, I'm doing this deliberately the wrong way. I know this is going to fail. It failed because I ran it as a regular user. So what we'll do is just put a harness on this. So we'll put a whole piece in here. So we'll just make sure we're a root user. Ah. So we're just putting a little evaluation in here to test if we're the root user or not. So I SCP that back over. Go back. Yeah. If I run that again, tells me I must be root. So now I can run this with sudo, and it'll evaluate that task. So this is now evaluating that first thing, the install the Ubuntu Mate desktop task, and it's figuring out all of the packages it needs to install to complete that. And there we go. It's worked out there will need to be a 1,335 packages, which is 662 meg. So it says, do you want to continue? So let's say yes. That's now going to go off and download and install those packages. So that'll take a little while. New internet. The new internet has arrived, so it won't take as long as it used to. So whilst that's going, let's go back to the main script here and figure out what else this could do. Before I do that, I'm just going to check. Hey Henrik, how are you? Autocomplete in Bash. What is this newfangled right, so Henrik is asking, where's this autocomplete coming from? It's not, I'm not using Bash, I am using the fish shell. It's absolutely fabulous. I love it a lot. I really wish that I'd got this whole chat screen thing set up, and look, it's not working. Not working. I wonder if I can make that work. Martin just has a think. Might be able to make that. No? Let's do... Hey, there we go. Right, that was worth doing. So, I've now got my little thing where I can see what you're all saying, and you can also see what's going on as well, and if you're watching this back after the fact on another video service, because I also upload these to library. Right then. We've got that install going, so I'm just going to scroll back through the chat. There's an awful lot going on here. Yes, said shell's also very good. There are many shells to choose from, but forget to announce this stream on your Telegram channel. This is the Rubis Islander. I think that will get automatically announced when it went live. It doesn't. I don't pre-announce them. I've got bots. Bot all the things. Right. Linux engineer. Hello there from Brazil. Glad you could join us. Right then, so let's go back to here. So this is, we could consider this our MVP, I suppose. So let's do this. Ugh. Managed to catch caps lock there. Oh goodness. Can't believe I've got latency on this. Right, so there's that. Right, there we go. So there's that. Let's set out some of the objectives of the project as well, because we want things like this is where I'm going to have to remember what all the flavors are now, right? Alphabetically, they start with Ubuntu. Gosh, Ubuntu Studio on a Raspberry Pi. I've just thought that would be a hefty download, wouldn't it? It should be possible though. We need to do Ubuntu. I wonder if we'll be able to get Chillin. I can't get that straight in my head, the pronunciation of that one. So this is Chillin, Chinese. Who've I missed? So I can see people telling me that I've missed Ubuntu Cinnamon, and there's obviously Ubuntu Deepin and Ubuntu Lumina. But I'm just going to focus on the official flavors for now, because I know all of those tasks and packages live in the archive. I haven't missed anyone, have I? Ubuntu Lubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu Chillin, Ubuntu Mate, Ubuntu Studios, Ubuntu. That's the full set, right? That's a full house. Oh yes, proper Ubuntu, that other one that I work on. Yes, okay. Let's get actual Ubuntu in there as well. That's right. So there's some things to do, and I'm going to put a bit in here about we want to put some guardrails on this to stop anyone randomly running this and hosing their system. Right then. And the other reason I'm doing this is I've started doing this in my projects. It's quite an interesting thing. I've added to-dos to a few of my projects, and I keep finding people who are contributing pull requests to address the unfinished items in the to-do list. So it's a new thing that I'm starting to do as a way to sort of signpost. If anyone's interested in a thing, then they know. Yeah, Blue Pixar says Ubuntu Mate is basically Ubuntu Classic, just the way I like it. Yeah, it's harks back to a previous era, certainly. Right then, should we see how that install's getting on? Let's go and have a look at our install. So we're 43, so it looks like we've downloaded everything. So this is where everything goes on a massive go slow whilst it crunches out to the SD card, but that's doing stuff. Right then, let's just SSH to that box. Oops. Right. Oh, there we go. We're in. Okay. It's just slow because it's busy. Right. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm just figuring out what I need to do to detect that this is actually running on Raspberry Pi hardware. So that's the first test I'm going to put in here. So I'm now going to say to cut this this string up, take the second piece of it, Right. Let's put a test in here. Fact. We'll do this different. So we're just looking in that CPU info stuff there, and we're going to say that if the return code for that command above is 0, which means it was successful, then we know we're on a Raspberry Pi. Oops. So $? Is the status of the prior command. So we'll just So there's our first safety guard there to make sure that we're actually on a Raspberry Pi. So I should be able to now run this locally, and I should get the error condition. Oh, also have to be root fab as well. Oh, what have I done here? Oh. Right, let's try that again. Whoa! That did not find it. Okay. Right, let's just... so we don't need to use cat here. And because I'm using the fish shell, I need to interrogate status rather than just have a look at chat whilst I think about. Oh, spotted. Yeah, thank you. So who was that? Jonathan, thank you for spotting my typos. There we go. Thank you, Jonathan. Right then. So there's a guardrail. We'll get that committed. Right then, there we go. So while we'll just take a little look and see how how that install was getting on over there. 96%. Wonder how long the last 3% is going to take. Do we assume it's not going to take long? Like it's nearly done. And then we can reboot and see if this gives us a working system. So Wimpy, Sam, he says, unrelated question, in a pitched battle, 2 mortal foes meet. I'm not interested in answering that, Sammy. My brain is on this. Yes, and Henrik has said that I could grep proc CPU info directly, and he's dead right, and I'll change that. Right, okay, 99%. Right, whilst that's it's doing the initial RAM disk. Whilst that's updating. Yeah. So the next test I want to add to this. Well, let's actually change that. Suggested. Change this to it's a good chance I only need to grep for Raspberry, I suppose, as well. I mean, what are the no. I'll take that. Right then, so the other thing we want to do is do I want there we go, that's what we want. We want to make sure we're running on Ubuntu as well. So similar, check. So let's say is Ubuntu equals Ubuntu with a capital U. We only need to do one to do that. So we're just making sure we're actually running on Ubuntu, because obviously we can't make any, we don't want somebody running this script on something that's not Ubuntu and it doing bad things. Martin, so Linux Engineer asks, am I using Ubuntu 20.04 as my primary system? And the answer to that question is yes, and I have been since October last year. And if you want to upgrade to Gutsy Grid, goodness me, that's easy to say. If you want to upload to the Groovy Gorilla, you can do that now as well. Although it's not very interesting at the moment, because there's not a lot changing there. There's a big package sync going on. Right then, so I think we can change this as well up here. So let's change that. Let's also force an error. Oh, ew. All this logic fires correctly. So we could also change this to say that if this is not equal to 1, then just do that. And 1 can, that should fire. There we go. Okay. Right, there we go. So, Blue Freaker says, not sure if Martin will catch this, but wouldn't it be better to type the output of the packages to a text file? A null output to make the terminal prompt seem so scary. Maybe. I mean, if we're going to beautify things, then we can do that at a later date. But right now, it's just let's, you know, get code in there that's doing the right thing. And to that end, we should have, if we go back to the Pi, there we go. We've got an install. So let's just make sure that's all flushed. It is. Right. Let's see what happens. So this Raspberry Pi has been installing the Ubuntu Mate task. So let's see what we get when we boot this time. We should get a desktop with a bit of luck. And also, I was rather surprised at the QuickMU script I created, in that it generated quite a lot of community interest and loads of pull requests, which was fantastic. So that has improved as a result. Oh, hello. We got a desktop on its way. Like, we've got a desktop. Well, what do you know? I suppose I better turn this mouse on. Oh, of course. Yes, wrong password. That's fair. Right then. So it looks like the bare essentials are working there, and there it is. There is a an Ubuntu Mate desktop. And using the wrong mouse. So it's seeing the is that the right? Yes, those are the right. They're the bogus access points behind me. Right. Okay. So they're all working. Brilliant. Did I install the Raspberry Pi Bluetooth thing? I didn't. I did, so this is there because see if we can see any our neighbours' Bluetooth devices. Tried installed my Bluetooth. And this is showing the Wi-Fi thing. Ah, right. Okay. So we'll see. We can see here that the Ethernet says "not device not managed." I remember what this is here, but it's showing the wireless networks. Now, what's going on here is because we've started with a server image, NetPlan is managing the Ethernet and is preventing Network Manager from getting hold of the network configuration. So that will be something we'll need to add to the script to make Network Manager the back end instead of NetPlan. So I think what we'll do is we'll add that to our to-do list so it doesn't get forgotten. That's one of the early changes we need. Okay. I think there is one other thing we want to do, which is make sure we're on the right architecture as well. Now, do we need to do that? We've looked at the CPU info to make sure it's a Raspberry Pi. That should be sufficient. Do we actually care whether we're on ARM HF or ARM 64 at this point? I don't think we do. I think because we know it's a Pi, I may need to store the model. We may need to want to do things slightly differently based on it being a 2, 3 or a 4. So maybe we'll store that away so we can use it later. So that's probably enough for now. So I think we have the most basic of projects there at the moment. And so Ankit is saying, I thought NetPlan was supposed to use NMCLI as a backend. NetPlan can use different things as a backend, but because we've started with a server image, NetPlan is the default network management tool on the server image. But we can change that behavior. It's simple to do. Oh, and the other thing we will need, add this to the README. I remember from doing this before that we will need to, what is that Wi-Fi thing? We need to prevent low power. How do I do that? Ooh. Gosh, this wasn't it? Ooh. Oh, wow. I seem to remember that the power saving profile in Ubuntu causes the Raspberry Pi Wi-Fi, when you enable Network Manager, to invoke low power mode when it's idle, and that makes the performance suck. So we'll prevent that from. Right, okay, we're an hour into this. I've pitched out what the project's going to be. And we can now, let's just go and get that all added. We've got anything outstanding, just the README. So if we now come back here, we should see that refresh this. There we go. There's the project. So anyone who knows Shell now understands what we're setting out to make here. So if you want to contribute any of the fixes, then by all means get stuck in, and I'll be working on this over the course of this week. I might do some live streams during European hours, as well as what is a late night for me, and US hours. Right, let's have a look. So Jonathan says in the chat that he's been thinking of doing some live streaming of basic Python coding as a quarantine with me thing. Yeah. Do you have anything anywhere that explains your sweet streaming setup? No. A couple of people have asked how I'm doing this. I think maybe when I'm a bit more proficient, I can explain how I'm doing it, but I'm very much learning as I go at the moment. It will come as no surprise that I'm using OBS as the means to actually do the stream. Then I have all sorts of random equipment dotted about the place that I'm using to do the other stuff. So you've seen this Magewell thing I referred to. Let's do the overcam. So, oh, that's the wrong one. So I've got the Magewell. Gosh, that's quite toasty. I've finished the port, so let's bring the water in. There we go. And the Stream Deck I've had working, and somehow I've broken today, which is why I'm not using that. But I was going to do a stream about how to get the Stream Deck going in Ubuntu. Then in terms of the rest of it, none of it you can see because the camera's obviously here, and it's pointing at me. And then obviously here I have a webcam on mounted on what is basically a selfie stick that's pointing down, and that's how I'm doing the overhead thing. And then I'm just flipping and inverting the image in OBS in order to display it the appropriate way. And then about here there's a microphone, and then up in those two corners, up into the corner of the room, there's some small lights, shining light bouncing it off the wall that's in front of me. And then to my left and right, I've got two other lights that light the green screen behind. But maybe I could do something about how I figured this out. I basically figured it out by watching loads of YouTube videos of people that actually do this stuff for a living to learn how to do it. But I have to say I love tinkering with OBS. It's a really fun bit of software to play with. It's surprising. So these little ticker tape things I've added recently, that was another thing that I learned how to do, and that was quite good fun. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a day there, I think. Let's just get back to the chat there. So thank you everyone for turning up today. Sorry it's been so long. These will be coming around a lot more frequently again now. Things have calmed down a bit now, and I'll over the course of this week I've got some time off, so I should be doing a few of these. But after that I'll probably try and do 1 or 2 a week as an ongoing thing. But I also want to get into making some actual videos as well. So with that, I will say thank you all very much for coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, before you all dash off, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ding the bell and all of those YouTubery things. And if you're watching this on Library after the fact, then also do the same on Library. Give me a follow on Library as well. Trying to build a following there, because I know a lot of our community prefer, open source, freedom loving platforms as opposed to YouTube. And if Library could do live streaming, I'd seriously consider switching to live streaming on Library as a first place to do things. Right, well with that, I'll say bye for now and I'll catch you in the next one.